Hello, this is eGov News, and this is our Friday coffee talk.
Coffee.
Friday talk. It's not exactly 3 p.m. coffee talk, but we are
No, well, we're not very good
somewhere
timekeepers here, Lucas, are we?
somewhere close. But it's all about the content, I think.
Yeah. You see,
Yeah.
we're researchers, so what can we do, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Time is relative anyway, right?
Yeah, it's all right.
So today we are talking about media, new media
Yeah.
and old media, and
So it's going to be very interesting. I hope you're listening out there, media.
yeah, you see we have media there, media and all
Media.
kind of media there.
Yeah.
In the back, you can see a lot of web-based media, which are the new media, emerging media, but you have a lot of old media, old good newspaper, broadsheet, big sheet, large sheet,
Yeah.
and we have TV, and so
It kind of still exists, doesn't it?
Yeah,
But
well-
there's a lot of questions.
yeah, and everybody I think was kind of anxious, like what's going to happen with the propagation of the web portals that newspapers will be gone and all of them will be gone, but they're still around, no?
Do you think they will be gone, though, at some point?
I don't think so. I think the same fears came when TV came into life, right? So people said, okay, radio and press are doomed because TV will take over.
That's true.
Never
And they
happened.
said films, you know,
Yeah.
well, they said that cinema would be gone, and it seems to be much more popular than ever now.
It's just the nature changed, right? I think you go to cinema
Yeah, I
for
think it has to
socializing
reinvent itself, doesn't
with
it?
family. Yeah, and when you see, for instance, TV complemented radio, and radio complements TV, so they do a bit different things, right? So they don't compete
Yeah.
directly. Yeah.
Because I remember, you know, like in the cinemas, like they used to have cinemas, you know, which had really sort of rickety old seats and they were bumpy and you
Yeah.
sat on them and they hurt and, you know, there'd be people spilling popcorn on you and it was really, really bad sort of quality cinema. But, you know, then what they did was they decided to make it a huge, big experience and they've got surround sound and
Yeah, it's-
really comfy seats.
it's an experience
lovely.
now.
Yeah,
It's an experience.
And the thing is, you know, it's completely different to watching a video on your television, isn't it?
But okay, so I think we agree those media will survive and they will last.
Those media will survive. But what about newspapers?
What about newspapers? I think there is a bit of a weird trend now. You see that all those newspapers we know that are there for many, many years now became digital, and they sell both paper and digital. All their translated themselves into completely digital now, right? Sometimes,
Yeah, well, I mean, I see things like Wikipedia, for example. I know that's not a newspaper, but I mean, Wikipedia is looking for money now, and it's saying, look, we need everybody to give them a price of a cup of coffee, or we won't be able to remain independent. And then you'd look at, say, The Guardian, and, you know, they're looking for money now.
Yeah.
You read down to the end of the article, and they say,
please support us.
please support us, or we're going to go.
And nobody does. People do. Hopefully
Well, some
they do.
people do.
Yeah.
Anyone out there support Guardian or Wikipedia? I gave
Yeah.
Wikipedia €2 the other day. I thought,
No, I think
what
it's
the hell?
grand. I mean, but if they do what they say, that, you know, I mean, not Wikipedia, but I'm talking about the Guardian now, that they really were, you know, be bias free, and I think that's the problem. You see, like I think the problem we have now is free or biased, and we put it in the title because we believe that for the media to be truly free, they need to have a bit of a different funding scheme, right? So the old newspapers, old good newspapers, they were getting their revenue from selling the physical newspaper, right?
Yeah.
Think about it in your
And ads,
shop.
adverts.
And ads, right? So now, because they cannot really sell physical newspapers anymore, it's online, it's kind of expected to be free. Even though some of them have subscriptions, but I don't think it's the best
Well,
model
a lot
because-
of people don't actually pay the
yeah,
subscriptions.
because why would I pay if I don't
Yeah.
have to, yeah?
There's one beside it which is just as good and it's free. Yeah.
So maybe it's not as good, but it's good enough, and you know, and then the choice is simple because why would you pay? So then, okay, they have to look for different revenue streams, and of course, adverts is one, but then probably they need to look for some, I don't know, collaboration, you know, corporate funding or whatever. And then I think that's where the problems start because how they can be objective if they are funded from some specific
Yeah.
branch or lobby or whatever that is, whoever is the supporter or owner, no?
Well, this blog is free, you know, like this coffee talk on the Friday, absolutely free. We don't charge people for this, do we, Lucas?
Yeah, that's so bad, you know.
maybe we need to change.
We need to start making
Yeah,
money
we
here.
need to put some ads on here now or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
So
think?
if you would like to have your ad,
Let's leave it for now
Please
anyway.
contact. I mean, we'll be completely unbiased.
Yeah.
In this sense.
No, but look, I mean, just this question needs to be addressed. I mean, is the quality going down? Is the quality of articles going down? Because, people are sort of not spending as much money on newspapers, there's no doubt about it. So media organizations have less money. So does the quality actually suffer in terms of journalistic content?
Well, I'm not here to judge, but I think it does, because if you have little funding, you have less funding for
that's the logic.
Investigations, right? Investigative journalism and so on and so forth. Right?
But have you noticed that? Have you noticed less investigative journalism? Because I don't think it's that bad.
It's not that bad, but well, as I say again, I'm not here to judge, but I think it could be better.
But was it ever brilliant? Like, when was the golden age of investigative journalism? I mean, you've got a few media organizations were pretty good
the big ones,
this in the past. I mean, the BBC are well known for it.
Yeah,
and they don't charge. Do you know? They're a government-funded organization.
But I think that's a problem as well, because all those government-funded organizations, they have less and less budget year by year, because they cuts, and then they have to look for different.
And people would say they're biased. I mean, the BBC does sort of propagate a very sort of particular Middle England view of the world. Really, I mean,
well, I wouldn't judge, but I would say let's just focus on the on this problem of funding, right? And whether that does it impact the quality, and does it impact does it generate a bias here, right? And you mentioned Wikipedia, which is not really, I wouldn't consider it a newspaper, but it's
not a newspaper. It's a type of
So and it works pretty well in terms of funding. It's independent. It's funded from donations only, and they are somehow surviving. And probably this is the only objective way. But then it doesn't work with people that easily, right?
No, like I know it's a different type of thing, but I mean, we saw, for example, Minecraft was something that was an independent, very much indie sort of game, and it grew up and lots of people got used to it, and then Microsoft took it over, and is it as popular? I'm not kind of sure that it is really. It might be well used, but it's not perhaps as sort of popular as it used to be. Partly because people feel Big Brother is watching you, or this big corporation is involved in it, and it's not kind of cool anymore.
Well, I think okay, there is nothing wrong with corporate funding and so on, but what is missing, I think, still is proper regulation that will ensure that regardless the funding, the media kind of stay objective, and and they keep some line. Of course, it's very difficult to implement, but I think this is essential for media to be really media, because otherwise you end up just with I would say propaganda. No, I don't know how to call it, right? Because you just have specific media promoting specific lobby, and people usually even know which media stand for which lobby, and they kind of take it as take it for granted, but that shouldn't be this way, I suppose, no?
But what about things like Twitter, though? I mean, is this sort of not a completely new form of media? I mean, you've got loads of different opinions. I mean, if you read Twitter streams or threads or hashtags or whatever, you get every single flavor of opinion on any event, Is that not a new form of media? And you obviously, as an individual, have to be able to then discern what are the sort of things that you agree with, or, because people are saying, Donald Trump is good, Donald Trump is bad, Donald Trump is whatever, evil, Donald Trump is one of the most intelligent men in the world, or there might be an event like a hurricane or something, and there are people literally posting pictures of it, and it's real live action. And indeed, I know there was famous media events where people heard first about them on Twitter rather than through the normal media channels.
So I mean, there is no doubt that new media brought new quality in this sense, I think, because it's a more federated approach. So you have suddenly kind of a change of what is called a convergence between old media and new media. So we have producer and consumer convergence change. So we have now the consumer, which is the ordinary person, becomes a producer because they generate news. So before you would only consume media from the big outlets, but now everybody can be kind of a journalist. You are out there and you're live streaming some event, or you're tweeting, so there is a bit of an inverted role now, and that's the power of those media, right? And also maybe that helps them to be a bit more objective, but then again you can influence it by flooding it with information. But we know a lot of abuse these days in this field, right?
But I would ask the question, you know, like if you look at Twitter feeds, people check out all sorts of things, and one person leads to another person checking something out and so on. I mean, what was it actually that investigative journalism brought to the table in the past? I mean, you know, people talk about investigative journalism, but what really did it bring that we don't have today? Was there anything?
I'm not educated to be an investigative journalist, but what
You're not a media sort of academic. Or
yeah, but what I think is what it brought. They were taught some specific standard and methods to ensure that their journalism is high quality. So like you have scientific method in science, and that's the source of a guarantee that the science is done in the right way. I'm sure that similar standards exist for journalists.
Well, that's a fair point.
And that's what they are taught, and that's what they learned.
Yeah, because members of the public obviously aren't trained or skilled in.
Well, I mean, they can be very sensible and reasonable, but they might miss the skill sometimes to filter, the right sources.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing, that there is a need for education. Like last time we talked a bit about the fake news problems and Facebook and so on. So yeah, I think there is a need for people to educate in the topic of how to judge the content, by origin, by quality, by what it presents, and especially in the face of new media becoming more mainstream. Probably that's the solution. Yeah.
I would say though that because of my sort of political background, I mean, I would say that sort of in the past, what investigative journalism did quite a lot is it did investigation of politics and decision making. Whereas nowadays, politicians are under such high-level scrutiny from every single thing they do that they can't get away with. They can't even sort of have a cup of tea without somebody. They can't breathe without somebody commenting on it.
So if it's not a journalist, that's the Mr. Joe from next street, or something, whatever.
Everything, every speech that a politician makes now is recorded, and then people sort of will go back over different, recordings of
everything is
politicians
under scrutiny
and say that they'll put together. Somebody said this one day, then they said that, then they said that, and they're contradicting themselves, and they'll put together different clips of politicians and make them look like idiots. But people got away with that in the past, and that's kind of why you needed investigative journalism. So I'm not sure there's quite the same need for investigative journalism that there used to be.
Okay, so what is better, old media or new media?
Well, I think one of the things you said is actually true. I think sort of a combination between the two actually works very well. I don't know how long that can continue, but I do think that because we've still got the old media, we're perhaps in the golden age of media, because you've got the new media is able to post up clips from old media. Like you often see tweets with linking to a newspaper article, for example, and an online newspaper article. And then, you can get the best of both worlds in that way.
So again, we have a bit of a convergence, yeah? We have the old media and new media, and they come together either from one side or from another, because you can also have, in the mainstream media, people show Twitter. And say, this is what people said on Twitter, right?
Exactly.
Or they have a live show and people
or even
tweet.
Statistics from Twitter. This is what the public opinion as it is
now.
So
again, I think the complementary nature of those, that they have to come together and maybe also help each other. To be more objective, more valuable, more constructive. Yeah, I think that's the solution. Yeah, so we went all the way from funding to the fundamental code of journalism, I think. But yeah, I think that's what we could say, right? So we will just expect the media to come together rather than fight each other and come up with a better solution. No?
I would say there's one thing we can say for certain, is media is not going to disappear any day soon.
Yeah, as long as the world lasts.
As long as there are people.
The last journalist, from the doomsday.
There'll be one man left in the world, or one woman, or whatever.
Live
live
stream from the doomsday. So stay tuned. We will also be there when the day comes. And I think that will be all for today. Yeah,
so let's see everybody for coffee next week then.
Yeah, for the positive apocalypse vision, I think we will end that
live from the apocalypse. That's it.
Yeah. So I'm sure that will get covered both in new media and old media. So anyway, thanks a million, and stay tuned for the next week coffee talk at 3 p.m. probably. Okay. Hopefully, and again, we will not disclose what is the topic next time
or what time we're going to be here.
Not going to be there. Time is relative. Remember, and so have a nice weekend. Take care. That was eGov News.